Welcome back to NFL Nexus, everyone. You know, the New Orleans Saints are at a really interesting spot right now, kind of at a crossroads, looking to take that next big step and become a real force in the NFC again. And this 2026 NFL Draft, well, it is looking like a massive, massive launching point for this whole roster. But today, we're not just going to talk about the same old first-round picks you've heard about a million times. Nope. We're going on a deep dive, a full-on scouting mission to find those hidden gems. We're looking for the players in round 2, round 3, even in the final rounds who can provide incredible value. Because look, these are the picks that separate the good teams from the great teams. And for a Saints squad looking to build a very specific identity under Kellen Moore, one built on versatility and big plays, this draft is everything. So let's get into it and find the future of the Who Dat Nation. All right, so here's our game plan for this breakdown. First, we'll start with the big picture, talking about why 2026 is such a crucial launching point for this franchise. Then, we are going to dive headfirst into the prospects. We'll kick things off on the defensive side of the ball, because man, there is a key piece of that secondary that has to be addressed early. From there, we'll flip it over to offense and find multiple weapons to give this playbook some serious juice. After that, we get to my favorite part of the whole thing, Day 3, where we're going to dig for some potential steals. And finally, we'll put it all together in our perfect value draft. And of course, the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you, the Who Dat Nation.
Okay, Section 1, a franchise launching point. Look, the 2025 season, it had its moments, right? The offense showed these little flashes of Kellen Moore's high-flying system, but consistency was a real problem. And the defense, it was solid, but it just lacked that game-changing playmaker at a few key spots. And that's exactly why this draft is so pivotal. If they want to truly compete for an NFC South title and, go beyond that, they need a foundational class. This isn't about patching holes with duct tape. It's about laying a brand new foundation and shifting the entire trajectory of this franchise for the next 5 years.
And let's be crystal clear about the mission here. This quote from A to Z Sports, it says it all. The New Orleans Saints want to get back into the postseason. It seems simple, right? But it's a really powerful statement of intent. In a wide-open NFC, just making the dance puts you in the hunt. This isn't some 5-year rebuild. The pressure is on to win now. Every single draft pick, every free agent signing, it's all being filtered through one question. Does this get us back to playing meaningful football in January? It's playoffs or bust, and that sense of urgency is going to drive their entire draft strategy.
So what's the plan? It really comes down to one word: value. I mean, any team can hit on a top 5 pick. But the great teams, the ones that are consistently in the playoffs, they are built by finding stars in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds. It's all about finding players whose production just blows their draft position out of the water. That's how you build a deep, sustainable winner. So the big question becomes, how do the Saints find these players? The guys who might not have the biggest name recognition, but they've got the tape, they've got the traits, and they've got the grit to make a real difference from day one. Well, that's what we're here to do.
Before we can find the solutions, we got to clearly define the problems. This right here is the blueprint of needs for the Saints. First up, and this is a big one, slot corner. With Alontae Taylor gone, they have a gaping hole at a premium position in today's NFL. On offense, the needs are just as clear. They need more size out wide, a guy who can win those contested 50-50 balls, and they are desperate for a tight end who can stretch the seam, which is a critical piece in Kellen Moore's vertical passing game. In the trenches, a powerful, space-eating nose tackle is an absolute must to shore up that run defense. And finally, they need to find a power back for short yardage to complement what they already have. These are our targets. Now, let's go find the players.
And that brings us right to Section 2, finding a Day 2 defensive difference maker. We are starting on defense for a very good reason. In this pass-happy league we're watching, you can never, ever have enough good defensive backs, and the Saints have an immediate Day 1 starting job wide open at slot corner. We think they can fill that hole with a serious playmaker in the 2nd round.
And the name you need to watch is Traden Stukes, a defensive back out of Arizona. Our sources are incredibly high on this fit, calling it one of their absolute favorites in the entire class. So, why? It's because he is a perfect match for what Brandon Staley wants to do on defense. Staley's scheme is all about versatility, putting players in position to succeed based on matchups. He needs smart, athletic chess pieces who can move all around the formation, and folks, Stukes is exactly that. And when you look at the numbers, you really see why all the hype is real. A 4.33 40-yard dash, that's just elite speed. That's the kind of speed that lets him run with literally anyone downfield. But for a slot corner, I care even more about that 10-yard split. His 1.50 is phenomenal. That shows you the short area burst you need to mirror those quick, shifty receivers and just close on the football in an instant. And he's not just an athlete, he's a real football player with over 2,600 career snaps. You're not getting a raw project, you're getting a seasoned veteran from a Power 5 conference. He's a plug-and-play replacement for Taylor, but his true value is that versatility to also line up at safety, which just opens up the entire defensive playbook.
And it's not just about the physical traits either. This quote gets right to the heart of what makes him special. He thrives in zone coverage, and he reads receivers' leverage well. Now that's coach speak for having a really high football IQ. It means when a receiver is running a route, Stukes understands what that receiver is trying to do to him and can anticipate the break. Think about it like this. Receiver starts his route inside, Stukes feels it, and instead of chasing, he plants his foot and drives on the out route before the quarterback even lets go of the ball. That's how you get pass breakups and intersections. That blend of elite athleticism and elite processing speed is incredibly rare, and it's what makes him a potential steal on day 2.
Now, you might be asking yourself, if he's this good, why is he a second-round pick? And that's where the risk comes in. He does have a significant injury history that the Saints medical staff will have to vet very, very carefully. The tape also shows some inconsistency. There are times he can get a little too aggressive, a little grabby downfield, or he'll just rely on his world-class athleticism to bail him out instead of his fundamentals. But the reward is immense. If he's healthy, you are getting a player with first-round talent, a true defensive chess piece who can lock down the slot and give you so much flexibility on the back end. It's a calculated risk, no doubt, but the potential payoff is a cornerstone defender for years to come.
Okay, so the defense is shored up. Now let's pivot to Section 3, bolstering the offense. And the goal here is simple. Surround your quarterback with as much talent as you possibly can to make his job easier. They need more size on the outside to win in the red zone, more speed to take the top off the defense, and just more reliability across the board. We're going to look at how they can find multiple weapons in the middle rounds to make this offense truly, truly dangerous. At pick number 42, let's talk about wide receiver Chris Bell from Louisville. Bell is just an explosive downfield threat, a guy who consistently wins over the top with both speed and body control. But what makes this pick so interesting is the built-in chemistry. He was the favorite target of the current Saints quarterback Tyler Shugg back when they were teammates at Louisville. That kind of pre-existing trust and timing between a QB and a receiver is absolutely invaluable and could let him make an impact way faster than a typical rookie.
But just like our last prospect, there is an injury flag here. Bell is recovering from a torn ACL, which is probably why he'd be available in the second round. The physical recovery is one thing, but that mental battle is just as tough, maybe even tougher. And that's why this quote from him is so important. He said, "Don't let this injury fool you. I'm still that dog. I'm still that beast that you see on the field." That's not just confidence, folks. That's the mindset of a player who refuses to be defined by a setback. That is the kind of guy you bet on to come back stronger than ever.
And that beast that he mentioned? Well, the numbers absolutely back it up. In his last healthy season playing with Tyler Shaw, he averaged a staggering 17.1 yards per catch. I mean, to put that into perspective, that would have led all Saints receivers last season by a pretty wide margin. This isn't just a guy who moves the chains on 3rd and 5. He's a field flipper. He's exactly the kind of vertical threat they need to complement Chris Olava's amazing route running and open up the entire offense underneath.
But hold on, we're not done adding weapons. Let's head to the 3rd or 4th round and talk about a player from the school they call Tight End U, Notre Dame's Eli Raridan. Now, this is a prospect who has been shooting up draft boards late in the process as more teams get a look at his tape and his athletic testing. He's a classic late riser, and the Saints could be in a prime spot to capitalize on his really unique skill set.
And this quote right here is why he's flying up those draft boards. His vertical ability is considered arguably the best in this entire draft class. Just let that sink in for a second. Not the best among tight ends, the best in the entire draft class. We are talking about a tight end who can run like a wide receiver. For an offensive coordinator like Kellen Moore, that is a dream come true. You create an immediate mismatch on every single play. You put a linebacker on him, he's too fast. You put a safety on him, he's too big. He forces defenses to make impossible choices, and that's what opens up the rest of the field for guys like Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara to go to work underneath.
And we're still not done building out this receiving core. The need for a big, physical receiver is so critical that in this scenario, we're going to double dip and attack it again. Let's look at Dijon Stribling from Ole Miss, another potential steal in the 3rd or 4th round. He brings that big, physical presence on the outside that this offense is currently missing in a big way.
This scouting card is what draft analysts dream about. You see the 6'2", 207-pound frame and you think, okay, big-bodied possession receiver. Then you see the 4.37 40-yard dash and you think, whoa, speedy, deep thread. It is so rare to find both of those traits in one player. But the number that should have Saints fans the most excited is that drop rate, 1.7%. That is an absurdly low number. It means when the ball is thrown his way, he catches it, period. A big, fast receiver with elite hands who's a smooth enough route runner to play multiple positions, that is a recipe for a decade-long starter.
And the pro comparison from our sources is a great one. Michael Gallup. Think about Gallup's career, especially with the Cowboys, a guy who can win on the outside with his size and physicality on contested catches, but who is also a good enough route runner to be effective from the slot. He's been a consistent, productive number 2 and number 3 receiver for years. If Stribling can replicate that kind of career, getting him in the 4th round would be an absolute home run for this front office.
All right, we've handled the first 2 days addressing some major needs with some really high-end talent. Now we move to Section 4 and Day 3 of the draft. This is where scouting departments really earn their money, folks. It's about finding the diamonds in the rough, the players who provide critical depth, contribute on special teams, and maybe, just maybe, develop into future starters. We're going to focus on building out that depth in the trenches and the backfield.
Let's start with that under-the-radar need at nose tackle. Our target here is Albert Regis from Texas A&M. Now, this isn't a glamour position. You won't see his jersey in the team store right away, but it is a vital one for building a tough defense. Regis is a guy who does the dirty work. He eats up double teams, he holds the point of attack against the run, and he allows his linebackers to just flow freely to the football. He's the kind of foundational run stuffer that every great defense needs, and you can find him on Day 3.
So let's look at the tail of the tape for Regis. The positives are really clear. He has a high motor, which you can see from a very respectable 4.88 40 for a man his size. His strength is his gap integrity against the run. He's a true space eater who is incredibly tough to move off his spot. Now, there are reasons he's a Day 3 pick, right? The scouting report notes limited pass rush upside and that his 6'3" frame isn't quite ideal for a pure nose tackle. So the key is, you're not drafting him to get 10 sacks a year. You're drafting him to be a powerful, disciplined run stuffer on 1st and 2nd down who can anchor the middle of your defensive line for a long, long time.
And for our final prospect, let's add some power and depth to the backfield with Adam Randall from Clemson. The Saints have always loved having a big, physical back to complement their main guy. Think of the roles that guys like Mark Ingram or Latavius Murray played for this team. Randall fits that mold perfectly. He's a late-round prospect who brings a very specific and valuable skill set as a short yardage and goal line hammer.
I think this quote from NFL Draft Buzz just perfectly frames the expectations for a player like Randall. He is a useful football player, not a difference maker. And you know what? That's okay. Not every pick needs to be a superstar. His role is clear. He's a short yardage weapon who can convert on 3rd and 1, punch it in from the goal line, and be a core contributor on special teams. The report says he could have a long career as a valued number 2 back. Finding that kind of reliable role player in the 6th or 7th round is exactly what finding Day 3 value is all about.
Now for Section 5, the perfect value draft. Let's put all of these pieces together. We've gone through the needs, we've identified the players in each round, so now let's just take a step back and see how this specific collection of hidden gems collectively transforms the New Orleans Saints roster from a team with some potential into a team with a clear identity and some serious depth.
And this slide right here brings it all together. Just look at how this draft haul perfectly attacks every single need we identified at the very beginning. You needed a starting slot corner? Boom, you got Treydon Stukes. You needed a big play WR2 with deep speed? You got Chris Bell. A vertical threat tight end to create mismatches? That's Eli Riordan. More size and reliable hands on the outside? Dejon Stribling. A powerful run stuffer to anchor the D-line? That's Albert Regis. And a short yardage power back for depth? Adam Randall. Check, check, check. It's a complete, targeted draft class where every single pick has a clear and defined purpose.
So what you end up with is a beautifully balanced draft class. You get an immediate starter in Treydon Stukes, you get high upside, high-risk players who could be huge difference makers in Chris Bell and Eli Riordan, you get a high-floor, reliable contributor in Dejon Stribling, and you get developmental prospects and key role players on Day 3 with Albert Regis and Adam Randall. This is how smart teams build their rosters, not by just hitting on the first pick, but by finding value and filling specific needs in every single round of the draft.
Okay, we've laid out our blueprint for the perfect value draft for the Saints. But now, as we always do, we want to turn the conversation over to the most passionate and knowledgeable fans in the entire league. This is Section 6, your turn, Who Dat Nation. We've shown you our hidden gems, now we want to hear all about yours.
So we're turning it over to you. Who are your hidden gems? Who is that Day 2 or Day 3 player that you're pounding the table for? Did we miss a key position of need that you think is more important? Is there a player on our list that you think is being overhyped? Or maybe one you think we have underrated? We want to hear it all.
The best part of draft season is the debate. So get down in the comments and let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hitting that like button really tells us you want more content just like this. And to make sure you don't miss our next breakdown, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. We've got a lot more to cover this draft season right here at NFL Nexus.
So to recap, this draft is all about value. It's about getting an immediate starter in the secondary like Trey Dan Stukes, taking calculated risks on high-upside weapons like Chris Bell and Eli Raridan, and building out your depth with solid pros like Dejon Stribling, Albert Regis, and Adam Randall. It's a complete vision for how the Saints can get back to the postseason. And hey, one last thing before we go. If you love this game as much as we do and want a fun way to share that passion with your family, we've launched a new line of coloring books. They're perfect for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, or even for you to unwind after a stressful Sunday game. It's a great way to show your team spirit, and it really helps support us here at NFL Nexus so we can keep making these deep dives for you. You can find them by scanning the QR code right on the screen or by hitting the link at the very top of the description. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching Who Dat Nation. We'll see you in the next one.